Hi, welcome to this Corbettmaths video. In this video, we're going to look at the video solutions to the translations practice questions. If you need any extra help in translations, if you go to Corbettmaths and look at the videos and worksheets section and scroll down to video numbers 325 and 326, there's dedicated video tutorials there on translations. Alternatively, you can scan this QR code. But in this video, we're going to focus on the video solutions to the practice questions, so let's get started. Okay, so question number one. Question number one, we've got this triangle C on this grid, and we've been asked to translate C by 8 squares to the right and 1 square down. So what we need to do is we need to translate or slide this triangle 8 squares to the right and 1 square down. So I like to do each corner at a time or each point of the triangle at a time. So I'm going to start off with the top and I'm going to move it 8 squares to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's going to move there, and then 1 down will be there. So 8 to the right and 1 down. Okay, at this point, well, let's move it 8 to the right and 1 down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1 down will be there. And finally, this point here, 8 to the right and 1 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1 down, we'll move it there. And then if we join those points up, that will be that shape, that triangle C, translated 8 squares to the right and 1 square down. So let's just join up those points. And that's it. So we've translated this triangle 8 squares to the right and 1 square down. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 2. So question number 2, we've got a rectangle. This time it's labelled A, and we need to translate it 4 squares left and 3 squares up. Okay, so let's do each point. So let's start off with the top left point here. We're going to move it 4 squares to the left and 3 squares up. So 1, 2, 3, 4 left and 3 up. 1, 2, 3, we'll move it there. The top right, let's move it 4 left and 3 up. 1, 2, 3, 4 left and 3 up. 1, 2, 3. That's good. They're next to each other. If one was above or below the one, we never made a mistake. Okay, this bottom left one, let's move it 4 left and 3 up. 1, 2, 3, 4 left and 3 up. 1, 2, 3. So there. And just checking that left hand side has got a length of 2, and here's got a length of 2. That's fantastic. Now we can probably guess that the last point's going to be here, but let's just check it anyway. So this point here, 4 left and 3 up. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 3 up. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So we've got our rectangle. Now we just need to join up those points, and then that'll be our rectangle. So let's do that. And that's it. We have translated rectangle A 4 squares left and 3 squares up, and that's where it would be. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 3. Okay, so question number 3, we've got this triangle and we've been asked to translate it by, and we've got this translation vector here. So let's have a look at this translation vector. We've got 5, negative 6. So it's going to be 5 squares to the right, so 5 right, so 5 right. And then negative 6 will be 6 down, so 6 down. So we're going to go 5 right and 6 down. 5 squares right and 6 squares down. Okay, so the number on the top, if it's positive, it means to the right. If it's negative, it means to the left. And the number beneath, if it's positive, it means up. If it's negative, it means down. So 5, negative 6 would mean 5 squares to the right and 6 squares down. So we need to translate this 5 squares to the right and 6 squares down. So again, let's do each point. So I'm going to start off with the top. Let's go 5 right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll move it there. This point here, 5 right and 6 down. So let's move this point 5 right and 6 down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right and 6 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's just check. This side has got a height of 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we go back up, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's fantastic. Okay, and then finally this point here. 5 right and 6 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right and 6 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will be there. So that's it. There's our 3 points, and now we just need to join them up. And do we need to label it and call it anything? No, we just need to join them up, and we've translated the triangle by that translation vector of 5, negative 6, which is 5 squares to the right and 6 squares down. And that's it. And that's it. We've done that question. So we've done question number 3. Okay, now let's have a look at question number 4. Okay, so let's have a look at our next question, question number 4. So question number 4, we've got this rectangle, so rectangle A on the grid down here. And the question says to translate rectangle A by 7, 5. And this is our translation vector, and we need to label the new shape or the new rectangle B. So we're going to slide this as translation. So we're going to slide this rectangle by this translation vector 7, 5. So that means 7 right, 7 squares right, because if it's positive, it means to the right. And then the number beneath that means up or down, so it will be 5 up, so 5 up. So this translation vector means we need to translate rectangle A 7 squares to the right and 5 squares up. So let's go to our rectangle A, and let's move each of the corners 7 to the right and 5 up. So 7 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 5 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to move there. Okay, this bottom point here, it's going to move 7 to the right and 5 up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's good. It's directly beneath the other point. Okay, this one here, it should be here. Let's see. So 7 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fantastic. And finally, this point here, it should be here, but let's just double check. 7 to the right and 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's it. Fantastic. And we were asked to label this shape B, so let's join up the point and then let's label it B. So I'm going to just label it B and let's join up the points. And that's it. That's the rectangle B. So let's just double check. We were asked to translate that rectangle by 7, 5. The translation vector 7, 5. So that's 7 squares to the right and 5 up. And we're asked to label the new shape B. So we've done that. We've moved this rectangle 7 squares to the right and 5 squares up. And we've labeled it B. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question. Question number 5. Okay, so question number 5, we've got this trapezium. So A is a trapezium. We've got a quadrilateral with one pair of parallel lines, the top and the bottom there. So that's a trapezium. And then we've been asked to translate trapezium A by the vector 0, 4. So that's 0, 4, that's 0 squares to the right. So 0 right or left. So 0 left, right or left. So it's not moving left or right. And then we've got here 4. So that'll be 4 up. So 4 up. So we're going to be translating this shape, this trapezium, just 4 squares up. This means it's 0 right or left. And then just 4 up. So we need to translate this trapezium 4 squares upwards. So let's do that. So let's move it 4 squares upwards. So let's start off with this point. It's going to move 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to move to there. This point here is going to move 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. We've got the base of the trapezium. Now let's do this point here. 4 squares up. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll move there. And finally this one here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. And then let's join up those points. And that's it. We've translated that trapezium by the translation vector 0, 4, which just means 4 squares upwards. And we don't need to label a B or anything. So that's it. We're done. Okay, let's look at our next question. Square is translated by the vector 7, 0. And then the question says, which direction will the square move? And we've got 4 choices: down, up, right, or left. Okay, so let's have a look at this translation vector. So remember, the number on the top means to the left or to the right. If it's positive, it means to the right. If it's negative, it means to the left. So this means 7 squares right. So 7 right. And then beneath that we've got 0, so that's going to be 0 up or down, so 0 up or down. So it just means that we're translating this shape 7 squares to the right. So this means we've translated 7 squares to the right, but we're not moving up or down. So the question says, which direction does the square move? It's going to move to the right. It's going to move 7 squares to the right. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 7. Okay, so question number 7, we've got another trapezium. This is a trapezium. You can see we've got a quadrilateral with one pair of parallel sides, the left-hand side and the right-hand side. And the question says to translate shape A, this trapezium, by -5, -2. So this, because it's negative, it's going to move to the left. So it's going to be 5 left, so 5 squares to the left. And then -2 will mean 2 down, so 2 down. So we're translating this shape 5 squares to the left and 2 squares down. So let's start off with this point. 5 squares to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 2 down. 1, 2. So it's going to move to there. This point here, 5 squares to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 2 squares down. 1, 2. So we've moved 2 of them. This point, 5 squares to the left and 2 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 2 down. 1, 2. And then finally this point here, 5 squares to the left and 2 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 2 down. 1, 2. And that's it. We've moved the 4 points. Now we just need to join them up. And that's it. We've translated shape A by the vector -5, -2. 5 left and 2 down. And that's it. Let's move to here. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 8. So question number 8, we've got this triangle A, and the question says to translate A by the translation vector -3, 1. So the number on the top, remember, it's left or right. If it's negative, it's to the left. If it's positive, it's to the right. So that's -3, so it's going to be 3 left, 3 squares left. And then we've got beneath that 1, that would mean 1 up, so 1 square up. So we need to translate this triangle 3 squares to the left and 1 square up. So let's do that. So 3 squares to the left, so 1, 2, 3, and 1 square up there. So this point will move to there. This point will move 3 squares to the left. 1, 2, 3, and 1 square up will move to there. And finally, this point, 3 squares to the left and 1 square up. 1, 2, 3, and 1 square up will move it to there. So we've got our 3 points. Now we just need to join them up. So let's join up those points. So there to there, there to there, and there to there. And that's great, it's got the same shape. And whenever you translate a shape, it should be identical to what you started with. So yeah, that's a right angle triangle and it's got the right dimensions. And then do we need to label it? No, that's it. So we have translated A by the translation vector -3, 1. We've translated it 3 squares to the left and 1 square up, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question. Okay, so question number 9. So question number 9, we've got the shape on a grid. So we've got the shape A, and the question says to translate A by the vector 4, 2, and label it B. So 4, 2, that'll be 4. Remember, on the number on the top will mean left or right, because it's positive, it being 4 right, so 4 squares right. And then beneath that, we've got 2, that means 2 squares up, so 2 up. Okay, so we're going to translate it 4 squares to the right and 2 squares up. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 up, 1, 2. We'll move to there, so this point will move to there. This point, 4 squares to the right and 2 up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 up, 1, 2. That's good. And what's good is the top of the shape is the same length. It's both 2 squares here and here. Okay, now let's do this point here. 4 squares to the right and 2 up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 up, 1, 2. So there's the bottom right hand corner. Okay, this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 up, 1, 2. We'll move to there. As you can see here now, the shape's forming. We probably could now at this stage just draw it, but actually I'm going to just do a couple more points. I'm going to do this one, 4 squares to the right and 2 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 up, 1, 2. And let's do this point in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 up, 1, 2. We'll move to there, and yeah, that's it. So now let's join that up. Okay, so now let's join those up. So join the tops, and there, and there, and there, there, and there. And let's label it. We need to label it B, so that's B. And actually I'm just going to move one of the lines. This line here, I'm just going to move in a bit. So that's it. So that's the shape B. We've translated it by the vector 4, 2. 4 squares to the right and 2 squares up. And that's it. Okay, and then if we have a look at part B says write down the translation vector that would return B to A. So to get from A to B, we go 4 to the right and 2 up. So if we want to go backwards, we're going to go in the opposite direction. So instead of going 4 to the right, we would go 4 left. And instead of 2 up, we would go 2 down. So we would go 4 left and 2 down. Let's just check that. So to get from here to here, we go 4 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 up, 1, 2. So to go back, we're going to go 4 to the left and 2 down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 down, 1, 2. So that means that we would go 4 left and 2 down. So that would mean 4 left, but that would be -4. So it'd be 4 to the left, and then 2 down would be -2. And that's it. And if you notice here, we've just changed the signs. It was 4, 2, and now we've got -4, -2. If we had a translation vector such as -7, -8, then if we want to go back the other way, we would then do 7, 8. We just change the signs and so on. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 10. So question number 10, we've got these 2 pentagons. So it's a pentagon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So we've got this little pentagon A and pentagon B. And the question says, write down the translation vector that would take A to B. So how do you get from A to B? So how do we get from A to B? Now what I tend to do is I tend to choose 2 corresponding points. So I'm going to choose the bottom right hand corner here and this bottom right hand corner here and think, how do I get from here to here? And we're going from A to B. Yeah, the question says from A to B. So to get from A to B, we would go 1 to the left, and then we would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. So 1 to the left and 5 up. So let's write that down. So it'd be 1 to the left and then 5 up. Now we need to write that as a translation vector. So to the left would be negative, so it would be -1. So -1 means 1 to the left, and then 5 up would be 5. So the translation vector would be -1, 5. And let's just check that with another point. Let's use this point here. And if we go 1 to the left and 5 up, 1 to the left and then 5 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That works. So that's it. So we have, that's the translation vector that would take A onto B. And if we wanted the translation vector that brought B to A, it would then be 1, -5. We would just change the signs. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question. Okay, so question number 11. So question number 11, we've got these shapes A, B, and C, and we've been asked in our first one to write down the translation vector that would take A to B. So how do you get from A to B? So to get from A to B, I'm going to choose 2 corresponding corners or 2 corresponding points. So I'm going to choose this point here, the bottom right hand corner, and this point here. And we want to get from A to B. So that would be to get from A to B, we would go 1, 2, 3 to the right. So 3 right. And then once we've gone 3 right, 1, 2, 3, we then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. So 5 up. So we go 3 to the right and 5 up. So as a translation vector, 3 to the right, well, that would be 3 to the right, and then 5 up would be 5. Because remember, to the right's positive and up's positive, so it'd be 3 to the right and 5 up. So it'd be 3, 5. Okay, next, what's the translation vector that would take B to C? So B to C. So just check out B to C. Yep, so from B to C. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this point again, this corner and this corner here. I'm thinking, how do I get from B to C? So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left, so 5 left. And then after I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left, I would then go 1 down, so 1 down. So it'll be 5 left and 1 down. To go from B to C, I go 5 left and 1 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1 down. Yeah. So 5 left and 1 down. Well, 5 left, 1 down. We want that as a translation vector. So 5 left would be -5. That means 5 to the left. And then 1 down would be -1. So the translation vector would be -5, -1. Okay, and then finally, part C. Part C says, what's the translation vector that would take C to A? So from C to A. So to get from C to A, I'm going to focus on those corners again. So from C to A would be 1, 2 to the right, so 2 right. And then once we go 1, 2 right, we would then go 1, 2, 3, 4 down, so 4 down. So it would be 2 right and 4 down. Let's just check that. 2 right, 1, 2, and then 4 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 right and 4 down. So 2 right and 4 down. And then 2 right and 4 down as a translation vector. 2 right, well, to the right is going to be positive, so that's 2. And then 4 down would be -4. So the translation vector would be 2, -4. So that'd be 2 to the right and 4 down. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question. Okay, so question number 12. So question number 12, we've got these triangles, A and B. And the question says, write down the translation vector that maps triangle A onto triangle B. So how do we get from triangle A to triangle B? So I'm going to focus on a point. I'm going to focus on this top point here and this top point here. I think, how do I get from A to B? So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to the right. I'm going to check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to the right. So 9 right. I'm just going to write that down. 9 right. And then once we've gone 9 right, we would then go 1, 2, 3 down. So 3 down. So it's 9 squares right and 3 squares down. And we can check that with our points if we want to do. We can check from here to here and just see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 3 down. 1, 2, 3. That's right. So 9 right and 3 down. So as a translation vector, 9 right would be 9, because remember to the right's positive, and then 3 down would be -3. So 9, -3 would mean 9 to the right and 3 squares down. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 13. So question number 13 says the translation vector that maps shape A to shape B is -3, 4. So that means 3 squares to the left and 4 squares up. And then the question says, write down the translation vector that maps B onto A. So we want to go the opposite way. So instead of going 3 to the left and 4 up and 4 up, we're going the opposite way. So we would go 3 to the right and 4 down. So that would bring us back again, because if you go 3 left and 4 up, if you want to go back again, you would then go 3 right and 4 down. So then as a translation vector, that would be 3 to the right would be 3, and then 4 down would be -4. So the translation vector would be 3, -4. Or another way to think about it is, if you want to go back the opposite way, you just change the sign. So you change the -3 to a 3, and you change the 4 to a -4, and that's it. So the translation vector that would map B back onto A would be 3, -4, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 14. Okay, so question number 14. We've got the point A, which is 2, 9, is translated to the point -2, 15. And the question says, write down the translation vector that maps the point A to the point A dash. So how do we get from A to A dash? So to get from A to A dash, well, so I'm just going to do a little sketch here just to help us visualize this. Now, actually, if I was doing this in an exam, I probably wouldn't do a sketch. I would just go, well, it's gone from 2 to -2, so it's moved 4 to the left, and then it's moved from 9 to 15, it's then moved 6 up, and then I would figure it out that way. But just in a little sketch just to help us visualize it here as we're talking about it. So we've got 2, 9, so it's going to be 2 across and 9 up, so roughly there somewhere, 2, 9, so 2 across and 9 up, and that's the point A. And then it moves to the point A dash, which is -2, 15, so -2, 15, which would be up here somewhere, -2, 15, and that's the point A dash. And so how do you get from A to A dash? Well, we would move from 2 across, we would go to 0 and then to -2, so we've moved 4 to the left, so we've moved 4 left, 4 left, so 4 going that way, and then we've moved from a height of 9 up to a height of 15, so we've moved 6 up, so we've moved 4 to the left and 6 up. And if we move 4 to the left and 6 up, as a translation vector, well, 4 to the left, remember to the right's positive, so to the left's negative, so it'd be -4, and then 6 out would be 6, and that's it. And let's just check that. If we're at this point and we move 4 to the left, well, we move to -2, and then 6 out would be 15, so that would be right. And in this question, I probably would have done that by just looking at it and saying, well, to move from 2 to -2, we'd move 4 squared to the left, and then to move from 9 up to 15, we would move 6 up, so it'd be -4, 6, because it's 4 left and 6 up, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 15. Okay, question number 15, we've got these two right angle triangles, A and B on the grid, and we've been asked to describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto shape B. So how do we move from shape A to shape B? So first of all, as you can see, these shapes are both right angle triangles, and they're both in the same orientation, so they're not being rotated or reflected or even enlarged, and one's not bigger than the other. So in terms of a transformation, we have had a translation. They have been slid. We have, A has been moved or slid to get to B. So it's been a translation. So let's write that down. We would write down a translation. We would just write down a translation to begin with. Translation, just to make sure we know that the transformation is a translation. It has been slid by, and then we need to write the translation vector. How do we get from A to B? So to get from A to B, how would we get from A to B? So let's choose a point. I'm going to choose this point here and this point here. They're corresponding points, the top left hand corner. And to get from A to B, and make sure you're going the right way, from A to B, we'd move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares left, so 5 left. Let's just check that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left, and then 1, 2, 3 down, so 3 down. So we have moved 5 squares to the left and 3 squares down. So as a translation vector, to the left, remember, is negative, so it'd be -5, and then down would be negative as well, -3. So to get from A to B, it would be a translation by -5, -3. So let's write that down. A translation by, and then we'd write down the translation vector, -5, -3, -5, -3, and that's it. And there's 2 marks. One mark's for writing down it's a translation, and then the second one is the translation vector by -5, -3, 5 squares left and 3 squares down, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question. Okay, so question number 16. So question number 16, we've got these two right angle triangles, A and B. So A and B on the grid here. And actually, we can just keep the screen here. So we've got A and B, and it says, describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto B. So how would you get from A to B? Well, again, it's been a translation. It's not been reflected. It's not been rotated. It's not been enlarged. It must be a translation. So a translation by, and now we want the translation vector. So let's choose 2 points. I'm going to choose this point and this point. They're corresponding points, the bottom right and the bottom right. And to get from here to here, we would move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares right, so 5 right, and then 1 down, 1 down. And let's just check that. If we move 5 right and 1 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right and 1 down, yep. So then as a translation vector, that'd be 5 right, that'd be 5, because remember to the right's positive, and then 1 down would be -1. And that's it. So what's the single transformation that would map A onto B? It would be a translation by 5, -1, and that's it. And that would be 2 marks, 1 mark for the translation, and then what the translation vector is. Okay, and then next, our next one, we have now got, if we have a look at this grid, we've got these 2 pentagons, A and B. And again, we've been asked to describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto shape B. So how do you get from A to B? So again, there's not been a reflection or rotation or enlargement, so it's a translation, it's been slid. And let's figure out how it's been slid. So how do we get from A onto B? So I'm going to choose 2 corresponding points. I'm going to choose this point here, the point of it there, and this point here. So how do I get from A to B? I would move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares left. So 5 squares left, so 5 left. So from here to here, 5 left. And then in terms of up, 1, 2, 3. So let's just go check that again. 1, 2, 3. So there. And then a half. So it's going to be 3.5 squares up. So 3.5 or 3.5 squares up. And let's just check that. 5 left and 3.5 up. So 5 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 3.5 up. 1, 2, 3.5 up. And we can check that with another point. Let's just choose this point here. So 5 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're here. And then a half, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5. So yeah, so 5 left, 3.5 up. And as a translation vector, 5 left would be -5. Remember, to the left is negative, to the right is positive. And 3.5 up would be 3.5. So that's our translation vector. So how do you map? What's the single transformation that maps A onto B? A translation by, and then the translation vector would be, I'm just going to have to check, -5, 3.5. So -5, 3.5. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question. Okay, so let's have a look at our last question, question number 18. So question number 18, we've got the translation vector that maps A onto B is 1, negative 3, 1 squared to the right and 3 down, so 1 right and 3 down. And we're also told the translation vector that maps A onto C would be negative 2, 7, so that's 2 left, 7 up, so 2 left, 7 up. And then the question says, write down the translation vector that maps B onto C, so shape B onto C. So we know how to get from B to A, and we know how to get from A to C. And if we know how to get from A to B, and we know how to get from A to C, we'll be able to figure out how to get from B to C. Okay, now what I'm actually going to do is in this question is I'm going to do a little sketch to help us visualize it. So I'm going to get a ruler and pencil. So I'm going to get my ruler and pencil. I'm going to draw the x-axis and the y-axis. So I've just drawn a set of axes here. And so that's our x-axis and that's our y-axis. And what we're going to do is I'm going to make up a shape for shape A, and I'm just going to draw a little square. So let's just draw a little square for A, and I'm going to draw a little square here. And the little square that I'm going to draw, now you could do it anywhere, you could even just choose a point rather than a whole shape, but I'm going to draw this square here where I've got 0, 0, I've got 0, 1, I've got the point 1, 1 there, and then here we've got 1, 0. So this is a unit square. It's a square, and all the sides have got side of 1 unit, so it's like, 0. So here we've got 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, and 0, 0. So we've got this square. So that's going to be A. And let's translate it. Let's move it to shape B. Let's figure out where shape B would be. So that's 1 squared to the right and 3 squares down. So if I was to translate this 1 squared to the right, so 1 squared to the right, this point here, the bottom left-hand corner of the square would move to here, 1 right, and then 3 down would go then to negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. And that's the bottom left-hand corner. Let's do the bottom right-hand corner. It moved 1 to the right and then 3 down, so it moved to there. And then this point, which was at 1, 1, it would move 1 square to the right and then 3 squares down, 0, negative 1, negative 2. So it's going to be the point there, to negative 2. And then this point would move 1 square to the right, so it would move 1 across and then 3 down, 0, negative 1, negative 2. So that's the point, that would be the point 1. So it'll be the point 1, negative 2. So that point would be 2, negative 3, because just below that one, and this one here would be 1, negative 3. So I've just translated this square A, and I've got this square here, and this square would be B, okay? So this is the square B, and I'm just going to label it B. So that's the square B there, okay? Because it's been translated 1 square to the right and 3 squares down, and it's now here. Okay, so let's go back up to A, and A has been translated by negative 2, 7. So 2 squares left and 7 up. So to find out where C is, we're going to go back to A and we're going to translate it 2 squares to the left and 7 up. So let's translate this 2 squares to the left and 7 up. So let's start off with this point. It moves 2 to the left, so negative 1, negative 2 there. And then 7 up, so it moves to there. So that'll be the point negative 2, 7. This point here would move 2 to the left, so it'd move to 0 and then negative 1 and then 7 up. So it'll be negative 1. So it'll be negative 1, 7. Okay, this point here, which is at 1, 1, it moved 2 to the left, so 0, negative 1. And then it's got a height of 1 already, so when it moves 7 up, it moves to here, negative 1, 8. And then this point here would then be negative 2, 8. So we've now got square C. So let's join up those points. Okay, so we've now got square C, and this is fantastic because we now know where square A is, square B is, and square C is, or where they could be. Okay, obviously I've just let this be square A, but this is where square B and square C would be in relation to each other. Okay, so the question then says, write down the translation vector that maps shape B onto shape C. So how do we get from B onto C? So let's choose a point. I'm going to choose this point here, the bottom right hand corner, and I want to get it to here. Okay, so we're at this point here, which is 2, negative 3, and we want to get to this point here, which is negative 1, 7. So to get from here to here, we would go 1, 2, 3 to the left. So we would move 3 to the left. So as a translation vector, that'd be negative 3, because we move 3 to the left, 1, 2, and then 3. Now we're at a height of negative 3 here. We want to go up to 7, so we'd go up 10. So we'd go up 10. So the translation vector that would bring us from B to C would be negative 3, 10. And let's just check that. Let's check with this point here. If we go negative 3, we've gone 1 across, so we'd go 0, 1, negative 2. And then we've got a height of negative 2. We're going to go up 10, so that'll bring us to 8. So it'll be negative 2, 8. So that's it. So what's the translation vector that would map shape B to shape C? It would be negative 3, 10. And that's it. Now that's one way to do this question, is to visualize it and to draw a little diagram like that. That's just how I sort of visualize this question whenever I was doing it myself. Now some people may look at this and figure it out another way and think, well, to get from A to B, we go 1 to the right and 3 down. So if I wanted to get from B to C, I could go from B to A first of all. So that'd be 1 to the left and 3 up. And then I would then want to go from A to C, which is a number 2 to the left and 7 up. So altogether then that would be 3 to the left and 10 up. So you can kind of work it out that way as well. But either way, you should hopefully get the right answer. And that's it. So in this video, we've gone through the video solutions to the practice questions on translations. I really hope you found this video useful. If you have found it useful, please like it and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you need any extra help on translations, if you go to Corbettmaths and go to the videos and worksheets section and scroll down to video numbers 325 and 326, there's dedicated video tutorials there on translations. But again, I really hope you found this video useful. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.